Hey, welcome back to World Entertainment, and it looks like Sydney Sweeney may have her next role, and it's a role that apparently was announced back in 2022. Somehow, I completely missed the announcement on this one. I did not get the memo, but Sydney Sweeney confirms progress on Barbarella Remake. Excitement builds for Sci-Fi icon revival. Yeah, so apparently she's going to produce and star in a remake of the Jane Fonda classic of Barbarella, which is interesting, especially again when apparently this thing was announced in 2022. I heard nothing, not that I remember, of any plans to do a Barbarella remake, especially with Sydney Sweeney, which is funny as well because I literally never heard of this girl until Madam Web. Basically, when she was cast in it, people kept bringing her name up. I was like, who is that? I have no idea. And even right now, Madam Web is the only thing I've actually ever seen her in. And yet she's everywhere. Like, I know she's in that new horror movie, what's called Immaculate. But I've literally seen her in nothing except Madam Web. But let's have a look at this. So, Sydney Sweeney has confirmed that the remake of Barbarella is still in progress. During an interview with Josh Horowitz on the Happy Sad Confused podcast, that dude seems to get an awful lot of interviews, doesn't he? Every time we're reading an article, his name seems to come up. Weird. Sweeney was asked if the remake, which was announced in 2022, is still happening, which she emphatically replied, "It is." Sweeney also shared her thoughts on what drew her to the project. Sweeney went on to say Barbarella is a fun character to explore who embraces her femininity and sexuality, which she finds interesting. She also expressed her desire to work on a sci-fi project and is excited to see how things will unfold. When asked if there was any truth to the rumor that Edgar Wright, the director of Baby Driver, could be in talks to helm the movie, Sweeney didn't answer the question directly. However, she did acknowledge that she had become acquainted with him. In October of 2022, Deadline reported that Sweeney would be executive producing and starring as the titular character in the new Barbarella movie for Sony Pictures. However, there has been little news about the project since then. And that is, of course, until now. And the original movie, of course, came out way back in 1968. Yes, it's that long ago. So, do we really point the finger and say it shouldn't be remade? Probably, because it's kind of one of them cult classics. It's a bit bonkers and really out there. But I think if you go by what Sydney Sweeney says there about embracing the femininity and sexuality of it, yeah, it could work, because that is the one thing about Barbarella that really stood out, was those skimpy outfits and stuff. And let's face facts here, people, who doesn't want to see Sydney Sweeney in skimpy outfits? You know, the type of clothes that you say, wow, look what she's almost wearing. Yeah, again, the girl is just popping up everywhere all of a sudden. For a movie like Madam Web that's just crashed and burned terribly at the box office, to be able to watch someone who was a part of that movie be able to turn that disaster around to be success, because it's like, I'm gonna take the piss out of it, I don't care really about it. After it failed, I'm not going to attack fans and stuff, or the audience. I'm just going to move on, say, yeah, that didn't work. And that's what she's done, and she seems to be landing on her feet. Roles keep coming her way and stuff. People seem to be still very interested in seeing her. Wonder why that is. I'm sure there's two big reasons. By the way, I'm sure you've seen it, but someone wrote on Twitter and got community noted on it, saying, let's be honest, her boobs aren't that big And she got community noted saying, yes, they are. That was funny. But a new Barbara, I wonder if they would try and get Jane Fonda in it in some way. I hope not, to be honest with you. I'm not a massive lover of the original. I have watched it a few times and still can't really wrap my head around the whole thing. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what they do with it. And being Sony, that'll be interesting actually. Being that she's kind of taking the piss out of Madam Web, we know Sony aren't happy with Dakota Johnson over kind of throwing the movie under the bus and saying, yeah, it didn't work, won't do that again. Will they kind of go, ooh? Of course, the one thing it'll make awkward if and when this movie actually happens is reacting to the trailer, because Sony love to strike trailer reactions, which is just a joke. But there's the news on Sydney Sweeney's next project, or at least one of her next projects, a remake of Barbarella. That again was announced in 2022. How did none of us hear about this one? Especially apparently she's been attached to it since then. Pretty weird. But we'll see what happens with this one. And let's hope she puts her two best features front and center to lead the way. You know what I mean? Boobages. What? Anyway, with that, I'll leave it there for this one. So like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's keep the channel growing. You guys have been great at doing that. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll leave it there for this one. Cheers. Catch you in the next one.